Hi everyone, it's Natalie, and tonight I'm going to be coloring this picture of a panda bear that I drew ahead of time. This panda is going to be eating bamboo, so the bamboo will be one of the first features I draw, but not the very first, because I always start with the eyes, just something I like to do. If you're curious about seeing the reference picture of this, you can always Google panda eating bamboo, and you can easily find the reference picture. As always, I use Strathmore tone gray paper, which looks like this, and I use Prismacolor colored pencils that come in a package that look like this. You can buy both of these products at Hobby Lobby or Michael's, but you can also get them on Amazon if you don't have those stores near you. Just make sure if you go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's, you look online for the 40% off any item in the store coupon, because you can save a lot of money that way. So let's begin. As always, I'm going to start with the eyes. And a question for the viewers, what is your favorite type of bear? Like tonight I'm drawing the panda bear, but just curious what you guys like for future video ideas. Oh, and in the video's description, I linked a Gorilla coloring page that you guys can download and print for free. I made this coloring page based off of the gorilla that I drew it was like a week ago, I think. But you can go download that on Kids Activities blog, where you can find other coloring pages that I've made. If you stay tuned on that blog, you can see some new coloring pages as it is continued to be updated. Samantha, I've used a lot of this black pencil, and I used a lot of gray as well. The two videos before the lion, I colored things that were gray, like the gorilla and the elephant, and this is the one I used a lot of, so that's a sizable chunk of my pencil that was used up. Okay, I'm going to use some white acrylic paint to add reflections to the panda's eyes. To do this, I only use a small little dot of it, so I just use the amount that is caught in the lid, because I don't need to empty out in a container and waste that much, since I only use enough paint to make a few little dots. Samantha, hopefully sometime this week. I try to like give a variety of pictures during the week. Like I don't want to do just animals or just people. So I think I'm due for another human episode again. So possibly tomorrow. I don't know. But definitely this week. Missy, I'm currently using 50% cool gray and black to color in the panda, but I'll also be using white and the 30% cool gray for the white part of the panda. Actually, before I go further on the panda itself, I'm going to color in the bamboo because it overlaps a lot of the panda, and I want to make sure that I don't color someplace where bamboo was supposed to be, since bamboo is in the foreground. Samantha, this was already drawn. I draw all my drawings before I start the video just to save time, because if I were to draw it on the video, we would lose a lot of time to sketching it out, which can vary in time, and it's kind of unexpected how long a sketch will take, because I may decide to completely erase something, change it, so you guys get to see more coloring if I draw it ahead of time. And if you guys haven't yet, please check out the coloring page that I linked in the video's description. It's based off the gorilla drawing that I did last week. You can download and print that coloring page and rewatch the live video if you'd like for some guidance on coloring a gorilla. I made the coloring page just for you guys, so please go download that. And stay tuned on Kids Activities blog for even more coloring pages. Actually, you don't have to worry about that until September 21st. Oops, that broke. This is my first time using this color, this yellowish green chartreuse. It's a really pretty color. I can tell that it's the first time that I've used it because the way in which it was sharpened was different than what my pencil sharpener produces. So I'm just now discovering this color. Excuse me as I try to sharpen this pencil. Oops. Samantha, you're right. I do need a new white pencil as well because this is rather short to finish the panda with, but I will try my best. And if you guys have Instagram, please go follow me on there. I linked my Instagram in this video's description along with the coloring pages. So you have 2 things to go check out. Joanna, I'm using Prismacolor colored pencils. They come in a container. Whoops, I lost my container. Oh, here. They come in a container that looks like this. This is the logo for Prismacolor. I use the Premier colored pencils, although they do have other ones such as Prismacolor Scholar, but Premier is what I recommend. Whoops, sorry about that noise. I accidentally hit my tin against what I'm working on. Anyways, you can get these at craft stores such as Hobby Lobby and Michael's, but you can also find them on Amazon. Just know if you shop at Hobby Lobby or Michael's, make sure you look for the 40% off coupon that's found on their website, because you can save a lot of money purchasing them with the coupon. And they sell them in all different sets as well. For example, you can buy them individually, which is really convenient if you want to test out the medium or you only want to buy a few colors to replace old ones. They also sell small sets of about 12, and then it upgrades and you can get like 24. I think you can get 36. I know they have 48 and 72. They have a lot of different numbers, but if this is your first time with Prismacolors, I would recommend purchasing them individually first. Get a couple of colors and just make sure that it's something that you enjoy and it's a medium that you're comfortable working with, because it would really be a big disappointment to purchase a huge set just to find out that you don't really like colored pencils that much. If you've used other color pencils before and you know that you like them but you just want to upgrade in terms of quality, then like go for it, get the big set. Actually, using Crayola colored pencils is a good way to introduce yourself to the medium. I was planning on making a few videos for you guys where I color with Crayola pencils. I just have to go gather all my Crayolas because they're scattered throughout drawers. But I thought it would be really cool to show you guys like what I can do with Crayola pencils, since they're much cheaper, and just to show you guys that you can make really cool looking things with Crayola pencils and you don't necessarily need Prismacolors, although they definitely do help. I feel like a lot of the things I do I can't really do with Crayola, but I can do some things with Crayola, and I'd like to show you guys a few techniques that allow you to get the most out of your Crayola pencils. And it would also be really good for children, since like children can't really get their hands on like big Prismacolor sets. So Crayolas are easy to find and they're cheap, so hopefully you guys can learn a lot from it. Jada, I don't have a Facebook page, but if you go on the videos tab of Corky Mama's page and scroll down, you'll find a section called Coloring with Natalie, and within that section is all of my videos. Well, not all of them yet, they have to be added there, but a lot of them, and they're all archived there, so you'll be able to watch them. And you can share a link to that playlist with, your daughter. Okay, it's time to move on from the bamboo because I think it's enough bamboo, and bamboo is kind of boring. So let's go to the panda. Julienne gray paper is my favorite to work with Prismacolors on. If you're interested in getting this kind of gray paper, it's called Tone Gray Paper by Strathmore. You can find it at craft stores such as Hobby Lobby, Michael's, but you can also get it on Amazon if you don't have those stores near you. And it's really inexpensive. It's usually no more than $10 at Hobby Lobby, and you get a huge spiral notebook of paper. Julianne, this Christmas gift that you're talking about sounds like a wonderful present for whoever's going to receive it, but if you're going to purchase this paper, I would also recommend that you also get the white Prismacolor pencil or any other white pencil or charcoal to go with it, because one advantage to using this paper is that you can actually use white pencils and see it show up unlike regular white paper, where if you use white on it, it's kind of redundant and you don't see anything. But using this, you can just combine it with a pencil drawing and create some really cool effects. I wish that this is my older tone gray book, because I could show you guys some examples of work that I did using only pencil and white pencil. So I would recommend gifting a white pencil with the tone gray paper, because you can use it on just about any kind of drawing. And one thing I did in my old book was I would draw something in pencil or maybe ink, and then I would outline the edge with white to make it pop, and it was really cool. So you can do a lot of experiments with it. Samantha, I've never heard of twistable colored pencils. Oh wait, are those the Crayola ones that like come in a little plastic tube that twist up? If you're talking about those, then yes, I have. Samantha, I'm not really a big fan of those. I think I bought them once in middle school because I had like colored pencils as a requirement on the school supply list. I didn't really like using them for art, but they were definitely good for any assignment that involved coloring at school, such as like coloring a map or some boxes or just like a general school project, I guess. They're really good for that because you don't have to sharpen them, you can just twist them up, it's kind of convenient. But for art, I would definitely stick with wooden colored pencils. It's not something that you can really go mechanical with, like with just regular pencils. You can go mechanical, like that's pretty cool, but when it comes to colored pencils, it's really hard to do. I put them in all these wacky mechanisms. Christopher, yes, I use pictures that I just find on Google Images to create a drawing here, because most of these animals I've only drawn once before. Well, like me drawing them for you guys is my first time, so I need to look at reference pictures. So I just Google a picture of whatever, I sketch it out ahead of time, and then during the video I look at it for color. But it's mostly just for the purpose of like color placement and like shape and everything, because a lot of the shading is like rather intuitive, because like for example the round nose of the panda, I know that like certain things, since it's further out, it should be shaded this way, but it's really just a helpful guidance. And I guess that answers Sarah's question below. Devin, it takes around an hour to 2 hours to finish a drawing similar to this. It just depends on how much detail there is. I originally thought that, like, whenever I was sketching out the panda, it would only take me an hour, but now I'm thinking it's going to take longer since I spent a lot of time detailing the bamboo. Small details such as things like the bamboo can really slow down the process and make you spend more time on a piece. So really, it just depends on the detail involved. Devin, I'd say that some paintings that I work on take at least 12 hours though, because like paintings, it's so much more intensive whenever it comes to details and shading and all that. So 12 hours is more like a painting, but pencil drawing is just a fraction of that time. Sarah, I use Prismacolor colored pencils. And if you'd like to see what the box looks like, it looks like this. It's Prismacolor. And these are the Premier colored pencils. You can get them at craft stores such as Hobby Lobby and Michael's, but if you don't have those in your area, you can check out on Amazon. Shayla, you can always try Amazon for these pencils, or you can search for any kind of art supply store. I mean, I don't know any art supply stores that are in Canada, but I'm sure if you look around for just general art supply stores, they'll probably carry it. Because even some other art supply stores than Michael's and Hobby Lobby, they carry Prismacolors as well. Another store is Joann's, although I don't think they have that big of a selection. At least the one that I went into didn't. Oh, Kimberly, that's true. She brings up a good point that you can also get these at Walmart. I think Walmart only sells the smaller packs though, and they don't sell them individually, so keep that in mind. I always choose the worst animals to color with my given colors because I always end up running out of a specific color. Like for example, the gorilla, I started coloring and then I realized that I was going to need more gray, and I went out and I bought gray, and I ended up getting a better gray color that suited the gorilla more, so that was nice. But this, it's more just a matter of me replacing this. Can't get my hand at a good angle. For all of you that are curious, the setup that I use to record these videos is with something called a shot box. It's basically this plastic box that folds up and it has lights on the inside, so I'm able to capture a bright image, and it has this black background, which is really nice. And then on the top of the shot box are these little square holes, and I rest my phone on top of it to where the camera is exposed through one of the holes, and it captures everything that's below it. Again, it's called a shot box, and it comes with a USB port to charge your phone, so I don't have to worry about it running out of battery. But the disadvantage to this is that I have limited space, so it's really difficult to get my hand in some places. So if you see me like struggling to move my hand, don't worry. Samantha, if I run out, I won't. I doubt that I'll be able to finish it tonight because I still have all this to color. So it's likely that I'll continue this into tomorrow's video. Because this white is very low. That was poor planning on my part, and I apologize. Here's a piece of advice whenever you're coloring something that consists of two different colored objects next to each other, like for example this white panda with the green bamboo next to it. If you want to, I guess, not blend them together, but to make them look like they fit together more to where like you can definitely tell that they're in the same picture, what you can do is this. Take the color of the brightly colored objects such as green, or like anything, like green is an example for this one, but I'm going to lightly etch some of the green onto the panda's fur to show some of the color that it puts off, because if you were to take bamboo and put it on a white background and shine a light at the bamboo, some of the light will pass through the bamboo with a greenish color onto the white. So you can help like make your pictures fit in together. What's the word? I'm looking for a special word with this, but I can't think of it right now because it's kind of hot down here, but oh well. But just add a little bit of green. Well, I mean green's the example here, but you add a little bit of that color onto your other object. Catherine, I'm using Prismacolor colored pencils. You can get them at craft stores such as Hobby Lobby, Michael's, or you can find them on Amazon if you don't have those stores. And whenever you use Prismacolors, you can always go back and blend some of the green back in because it may be too intense. I really don't want that intense of a color, you just want a little bit of green to kind of, I guess, like put the objects together and let the viewer know that these are, they make it more cohesive, I guess. I don't know, I'm looking for a very specific word, but it's on the tip of my tongue. Can't think of it. Hate when that happens. Yikes. On the camera, it looks very bright, this green, just because like the white looks kind of dark with the gray, but like from where I'm seeing it, the green isn't that bright. I think it's just the way that the light of my shot box is hitting my paper. I think in some of my earlier videos I included the fact that I was using Prismacolor pencils in the video description, and I keep forgetting to put it back in because I usually, like, the one thing I think about fixing in the description for each video is the link to the Kids Activities blog and also like the topic of what I'm drawing, but I always forget to mention that these are Prismacolors. But I'll get back into doing that. But it's also important for people to get their questions answered about Prismacolors, because whenever someone asks, like, what are these pencils, I can also respond with where to buy them, which, like, a lot of you guys have found rather useful, because I see that a lot of you have purchased them. And you guys have even discovered new places that carry Prismacolor. Like, for example, I didn't know that Walmart had them until one of you guys told me. Daniela, it's not necessarily tiring, but like I feel like sometimes I sound like a robot whenever someone asks what are these pencils, because I always go oh, these are Prismacolor colored pencils. You can purchase them at craft stores such as Hobby Lobby and Michaels or Amazon, whatever. I just like sometimes I feel like I need to change up my response to it and word it differently because it's like the same wording every time. But that's funny. You guys in the comments are very funny and creative. I really enjoy reading all of your comments. I mean, I can't read all of them at once, but whenever I have the opportunity to look up and read them, I do. And a lot of times you guys make me laugh. I would love to see one of you guys write a Prismacolor song, and if you do that, please link me the video, or like tell me on Instagram or something, because I would love to see that. Oh, Bobby, did you print one of the coloring pages? If you did, which one was it? I'm just curious. Jessica, I tried to add some color from the green light emitted by the bamboo whenever light passes through it onto his cheek, but in the video, unfortunately, it looks very vibrant and bright, almost like a highlighter green, which it's not supposed to, and on my paper it looks a lot different, so I don't think if I tilt it, it's weird how the camera picks that up, but tonight I'm going to mess around with the paper and see if I can like change that. I feel like the green I used was too bright, so I should have used a more subtle green when doing it, but that's okay because I can easily fix it with white paint. Oh, Julianne, I've done a couple of videos on eyes. If you want to see them, click on the videos tab on Quirky Mama's Facebook page, and then scroll down to where it says Coloring with Natalie, and you'll find a tutorial for a blue eye and a brown eye. But I've been thinking about doing another eye video just because those are very popular and you guys seem to really like those. So I might do it. And plus, they're a lot of fun to color. And I'm actually preparing a coloring page just full of eyes for you guys in case you want to print that and color it. But I think I want to finish that one and get it up on Kids Activities blog before I do another eye video so you guys can follow along. Zoe, this is a photograph of a panda that I'm referencing. If you want to see it, just Google bamboo or search panda and bamboo or panda eating bamboo, one of those things, and you'll find the image. I just use it for reference because I can't draw a panda like this from memory, unfortunately. I haven't drawn them many times. I think this is my first panda that I've drawn. I mean, I might have drawn like a simplified panda before just to get the point across that, like, okay, this is a sketch of a panda, but nothing like this before. And for all you budding artists out there and people that are learning to draw, don't be afraid to use reference photos, because reference photos are really important for developing your, I guess, like your visual memory on like anything, like colors and shapes and things like that. So by using reference photos, you're helping yourself, but like use reference photos as a means of practice, and like not necessarily like paint like huge studio pieces after reference photos, but reference photos can be used to help in that process. But you don't just want like an exact copy of a photograph or something as a huge studio piece. I mean, these are just little fun drawings, but I mean, like if I were doing a canvas painting, I wouldn't want to just paint a photograph unless there was a huge purpose behind it. But reference photos, like I said, they're really important. And like keep a sketchbook where you find nice pictures and sketch them. And also just like look at photography on the internet for inspiration, because there's a lot of beautiful photographs out there, and you can pull little visual elements from them and put them in your visual memory and use it later for a piece. Like for example, say you really like the pattern on someone's dress, or you like the color of something, or like a specific combination of colors, you can later reuse that in one of your future works as inspiration. Daniela, I started drawing in middle school, but drawings like this I didn't really start until high school, definitely. Back in middle school it was mostly cartoon drawings and not anything realistic. But in high school is whenever I started drawing realistic things. Judy, drawing just plants and flowers and things like that, it's not really my forte. I don't enjoy it as much as drawing things such as animals and people, but I have drawn like flowers as a smaller element to larger paintings and things like that, but I've never really thought about just drawing flowers on their own. Okay, so it's 10:29, almost 10:30. I have a lot of work left on this panda, more than I expected. I think that the bamboo really took a lot of time, again, more than I expected, so I'll be finishing this panda drawing tomorrow. You guys can tune in at 9:30 p.m. Central to watch me finish it. It'll be a lot of fun. In the meantime, I'll find a way to fix this green right here because it's very vibrant and saturated on the screen. It looks like I took a highlighter to it, and that is not what it's supposed to look like, so I'll be fixing that. I'm going to experiment with a few things, and that's part of my problem-solving process whenever it comes to Prismacolors. If something turns up and it's unexpected, or like it wasn't the desired effect that I had, I have a couple of different methods of playing with it until I can change the color. Like my first one is to use white pencil. I mean, if it's a white surface, usually it's a bit easier because I can always resort to paint. But first I take white pencil and I try my best to like dilute the color with more color. But if that doesn't work, I just come in with some white acrylic paint, and I'll start with a light layer so I don't have to use too much. But if I have to use more and more, I will. So I'll play around with that, and I'll tell you guys what worked best. It would be kind of risky to do on camera and stuff because I don't really know all the steps I need to take to fix it because it varies on the situation, but I will get that fixed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow night. In the meantime, you can download some coloring pages that I made for you. You can check those out in the video's description. I linked to the Gorilla, but if you search coloring pages on Kids Activities blog, you can find many more. and follow me on Instagram. I also link that. So, good night. Hi everyone, it's Natalie, and I'm back with the Panda again. I'm going to finish it tonight. I know I left it unfinished last night because there's a little too much to color for me in one night. I kind of underestimated how much coloring I would need to be doing, but that's okay because I'm back tonight. I did not get a new white, but I think I'll be okay because really the rest of the Panda is black with its arm, and I just have to shade in a few details of white, so I'll be okay with that. As always, I'm using Strathmore Tone Gray paper with Prismacolor colored pencils. You can get both of these products at craft stores such as Michael's and Hobby Lobby, but if you don't have any craft store like that near you, check out Amazon. They have good deals for both of these products. So last night, I noticed that the green on its cheek that was supposed to be like, I guess like light from the leaves, it looked really vibrant, and I think it still does on the camera. So like unfortunately it looks like that, but on the actual paper itself it doesn't look as bright. So that's really interesting to see how the oops, I spilled paint on myself. Sorry. Let's see, I got white paint. Okay, so I did use a little bit of white paint, but it still looks very bright on the camera, which unfortunately happens, but it's okay. I'll try to fix it even more throughout the video. So let's continue. Sharon, I did not get a new white pencil, but I think I have enough to complete the video. Because most of the Panda that I'll be coloring is just black or gray. So it's not like I need a brand new one like the gorilla, because during the gorilla video I used a lot of gray, so it was necessary that I got one. But for the Panda, since I've already colored in most of the white spaces, I don't think I need it. One little piece of advice that I don't think I've discussed in any of my videos yet is a matter of composition whenever it comes to your drawings. And by composition, I just mean like where things are on the page. So like given the boundaries of the page, how can I draw something to where it takes advantage of the space and looks good? So it means that this is something that you should be conscious of. Like this is a good tip for anyone that's starting to draw, especially younger viewers. Always think about like how big your drawing needs to be and like where you need to start drawing to make it look good. So you don't want your drawing to be too small. Like if I drew this Panda really small, it'd look kind of weird because I'd have all this blank space on the page. And especially like if I drew it like really small, or if I drew it too big. I mean, I think big would be good, but I think that this Panda was just the right size, but I feel like I could have adjusted it to the right more because like where I'm coloring this ear, it's past the perforated edge. So if I were to take it out of my sketchbook, I would lose everything past this line right here. So it's just something to be mindful of, and you can help, like, I guess, plan composition by, like, say you have a big drawing planned and you have like a great idea for it and everything. What I recommend you do is, first of all, know the size of the paper that you're working with, so like know the measurements, and then make a smaller version of it, or like draw a box in your sketchbook or something that's proportionate to the paper that you'll be working on, and kind of sketch out an idea, especially if you have something complicated with lots of different objects in the same picture. It's good to plan it out and like see where different things will be placed, because you might start drawing and then realize that something's going to run off the page where you didn't want it to. So it's important to always plan ahead. Judy, for all my live videos, I just went straight onto the gray tone paper and started drawing it, because I felt pretty confident with what I can do on it, since I'm just drawing like animals, and it's not too complicated, because I think that the panda is actually like the most, I guess, like complicated pose for an animal that I've drawn, because this panda, it has bamboo in its arm, which the bamboo is another detail on top of the animal itself. So, but it really wasn't like too much planning that was involved. But with my paintings, like that takes a lot more planning and like practicing sketching it in my sketchbook and whatnot. And since the tone gray paper, it comes in a package with 50 sheets for a fairly cheap price. Like, I don't feel bad if I end up wasting a page, or like I mess up on an accident, because I mean out of 50 sheets of paper, I'm pretty sure like at least one may like be used for an error or something like that, or like maybe it just gets torn. So like I can't expect to draw something on all 50 of the pages, but it's okay because the paper is rather cheap. But I do like to save paper, so I try to be really confident whenever I draw something, but sometimes it doesn't always go that way. Judy, I have not tried the tone tanned paper, but I'd like to sometime. Do you know if it can be purchased in a similar style as this one? This one comes in a spiral sketchbook. It has like 50 sheets of paper by Strathmore. I've seen toned tan paper, but I haven't seen it by Strathmore. I'm just curious if they have it. Like, I really don't care if it's by a certain brand or something. I just am curious. So, hold on. Trying to find my pencils. Angelica, I think that gray paper, it helps with shading in the sense that you're already given a neutral tone. So you really, like, say you're just working with graphite drawings, like say you're just using pencil and ink and a white pen or something, or a white pencil, you add in all the highlights and the shading. So like it's different compared to white paper, because with white paper you're already given the brightest tone and you're kind of just making everything darker that needs to be darker. But with this, you have to make things lighter if you want them to be light. Like for example, white, you have to put in white yourself. You're not just given the white, which I think is something that's really neat and something that like makes tone gray paper really interesting to use, because it's just a different process. I highly recommend it to anyone that hasn't tried it yet. No matter what medium you work with, like it's a lot of fun. But like there's some mediums that don't go so well with it, like watercolor. I don't know if I'd recommend using watercolor on this, but things like pencils, go for it. And even if you don't want to color with Prismacolors, because like Prismacolors can be expensive and not everyone likes working with color. It's a great paper to use for just pencil drawings. And if you draw something in pencil, throw in a white colored pencil or white charcoal to add the highlights, and you can make something amazing. Oops, my computer crashed. That was my reference picture. Oh well, it's turning back on now. But yeah, I keep my reference picture on a computer next to me. Hold on, let me sign in. It's a Chromebook, so it crashes a few times, unfortunately, but other than that, it's a great computer. Amanda, I rarely use charcoal. I think the only charcoal product that I've really used is like the white charcoal crayon, because it's just very convenient to add white onto something, especially if it's a pencil drawing. But I personally don't like charcoal. You know that sensation that you get whenever you scratch a chalkboard, like fingers on a chalkboard and stuff like that, and the sound of chalk? It just kind of gives me goosebumps, and I don't like it. It was kind of discomforting, so I don't know, I just can't work with chalk or charcoal. It's weird. Yeah, for those of you who aren't aware, I'm making coloring pages for Kids Activities blog, and you can download and print those for free. I linked you guys a Gorilla coloring page in the video's description, so you can go click on that, download it, and print it. All the instructions are on the page. If you scroll down to a certain point, it will say, click here to download and print, and you'll see a little link. You click on that and you'll get the coloring page. So go check those out, and there's more on the website if you search for them. I'll try to link a new coloring page up every night. There's a lot on the website right now, so I don't know if you guys have seen all of them, but if you like coloring or animals, or both, please go print those. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm thinking about maybe doing like I'm trying to think of how I'd do it though, but I was thinking about doing a thing where like I feature some of your guys' colorings. Like if you were to download and print the coloring page and color it, you show it to me and maybe I can feature it. I'd have to go get access to a tablet or something that I can put in front of the camera, but I think it'd be cool to feature some of your guys' artwork, especially for the children. If your kids colored something amazing and you'd like to have it featured, I think it'd be cool. And please excuse my dog. Again, like, I know that you guys, like, for those of you who watch these videos a lot, you've probably heard my dog bark before, but it's always just because of the neighbors and their dogs. The dog comes out, starts barking, all the dogs in the neighborhood bark, that kind of thing. Michelle, if you're looking at a craft store for Prismacolors, like if it's Michael's or Hobby Lobby, always go onto their website and you'll find a 40% off coupon. I think Michael's, there's varies on like times that it's available, but Hobby Lobby always has this coupon on their website. So if you download that, you can get 40% off any item. So that $50 set of Prismacolors will be 40% off and you'll save a lot of money. But also check out places like Walmart and Amazon, because Walmart, some of you guys in the comments said that you found a set of 24 for $20, which is a fantastic deal. But Amazon, I think, has comparable deals to that. I don't have any prices off the top of my head, but I remember just looking on there and being like, oh wow, these are some good prices. But yeah, guys, always check the craft store coupons. I think you'll save a lot of money on everything that you buy. And also check the clearance end caps. Like at Hobby Lobby, they all have end caps with clearance items that are marked down from like any percent off. Like you can get something 20% off, you can get something 40% off, or maybe even 75% off. But by checking those, you can sometimes find like really good art supplies. I found some really nice paintbrushes there before, so you'll be surprised as to what you can find. So always check those. The only time that I actually buy my Prismacolors is whenever I need a replacement for what I have. Whenever I first started using Prismacolors, I was using them in combination with ink, so I really only use them for fine details and like small spots for shading. So I purchased black, white, gray, stuff like that individually, so I would buy like a total of 4 pencils, but not all at once. I kind of just bought them whenever I needed them. But this past Christmas, my friend gave me a set of Prismacolors that they didn't want anymore, so that was really generous of them. I'm very thankful. So I have a set of 48 Prismacolors now because of that, and I only buy them whenever I need a replacement. So I'd say it's like about every 2 weeks, maybe, just depending on whenever I use them. I think 2 weeks on average. And really the ones that I replace are black, white, and gray, because the colorful ones, they last a really long time, especially colors that I don't use much of, like pink and magenta, things like that. Those last a really long time. Liberty, I was thinking about doing a toucan sometime just because of the colorfulness on it. Yeah, I have not like a physical list, but I have a mental list of animals I've been thinking about recently. And whenever you guys comment your ideas, those are like saved in my memory. So maybe sometimes whenever I'm deciding on what I should draw, it may just come to mind and I'll think that's a good idea and go for it. I've done it before. You guys have requested an elephant for quite some time collectively, so I decided to draw an elephant, which I still haven't finished. I'm really sorry, but I'll get that to you guys. I've been a little busy, but don't worry. Sarah, I've been thinking about that idea actually, and I was doing some looking around, and I thought about drawing the actual Olympics mascot, which is, I forgot exactly what species, but it looks like a monkey. I was thinking about doing that because it's very colorful, but I'm not sure about it. I might just go with an animal that is found in the Amazon rainforest instead, just because like that's more realistic, and the Olympics mascot is kind of goofy and like cartoony. Not necessarily goofy, like in a bad way, but just kind of, it's very playful and cartoony. But that's okay. It's just not my drawing style. Wow, this black pencil is already kind of short now that I think of it. I remember, I forgot like how long ago it was I bought this, but I've used it rather quickly. If you guys are planning on getting a Prismacolor set to where you have everything, you're good to go for a while with it, or if you're gifting it to someone, I would recommend purchasing a few extra blacks and whites just because like these colors, you'll use them very quickly. They're my most used colors because, I mean, I use them in every drawing. You have to get the darkest colors and the lightest, so yeah, be prepared to buy lots of black and white pencils. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram if you haven't already. I linked my Instagram in the video's description, so if you guys want to see more drawings of mine, please go check that out. I post a lot of things on there. I don't post everything, but I do post a lot. Betsy, I use this metal pencil sharpener to sharpen my pencils. I've had this since 9th grade after my art teacher gave it to me. It's a great pencil sharpener, but the most efficient way to sharpen your pencils is actually to use a blade, such as an X-Acto knife, to actually shave away the wood. You minimize waste that way, so it's the most efficient, but I wouldn't recommend that to any younger viewers as it can be dangerous. But if you guys aren't using a good pencil sharpener for your Prismacolors, you're losing money, because a bad pencil sharpener will eat up your Prismacolor and like break off the tip time after time. So like whenever you lose the color inside of it, you're essentially losing money, and you don't want to do that. So I would invest in a nice pencil sharpener. Usually the metal ones at craft stores are pretty good, but be careful of the ones that come in like these big drawing sets that include everything, like your pencils, erasers, mini sketchbook, like modeling figure, things like that. Those big gift sets are kind of just a bunch of things thrown together as like an extra gift, so the items in it aren't necessarily the most quality. They're just kind of there to have a lot. It's one of those quantity things, not necessarily quality. But if you buy a pencil sharpener on its own, you'll probably have better luck with it. I would recommend getting a metal one just because these have worked better for me. But really, just make sure you're not using those pencil sharpeners that you get you'll find them in the school supply aisle. Like those are ones that are used for general purpose pencils, like your regular number 2 pencils. So those are cheap pencils, and it's okay to use a cheap sharpener on that because if the tip breaks a couple of times, it's no big deal. But with artist pencils, you want to save as much of the pencil as you can. So it's a good idea to invest in a nice sharpener. Or just use an X-Acto knife. I use the sharpener while I make these videos just because it's a lot easier to do in a smaller space, and like if I were to try to do it, it'd be a mess because it is very messy. But try it if you haven't. You can also do other things like customize the tip, make it flat, or make it an irregular shape, which is pretty cool. I just want to give a shout out to Kia and Trina in the comments. These two are on here all the time and they always have something funny to say, and I really appreciate that. You guys really make me laugh. Okay, so I made a couple of lines that shouldn't have been there, so part of like how I try to get rid of unnecessary lines that I didn't want, like for example this black line right here, I don't want it. I was trying to visualize something but it didn't go so well, but that's okay. I'm going to try to fix it. Well, the first things I do is I take an eraser, just any kind of eraser, and I soften up the line so it's not as bold or intense. So just any eraser works well. I use a mechanical pencil eraser, and sometimes it takes a couple of erasers. I mean, you can't completely erase it, but you can definitely lighten it. which definitely helps. You don't want it to be like this bold line, but by using different erasers, you'll be able to soften it. It may take a little bit of time though. So after using 4 different erasers, I still have somewhat of a line there, but it's not as dark as before. What I do then is I try to work around it and like try to ignore it, and then once I'm done with the area, I can decide what to do with it. Like, I think I can easily incorporate another bamboo leaf to cover it, which is a good problem-solving strategy. If you can't get rid of it, just kind of hide it. It's really easy to hide things whenever you have a lot of complex details. Like, if I take this, I could turn it into another bamboo leaf. But it's always important to lighten it with the eraser first. So yeah, don't stress out if you make a line out to the side or something that wasn't intended, because you can always try to fix it or cover it up by something else. I know that's what a lot of people do with bad tattoos. They'll just get another tattoo over it and make it a part of something else. Zoe, this is 9x12 paper. Yeah, just confirming that. I like using 9x12 paper because everything is at a very good size and it's easy to control, but not be limited on the space that you have, because if you color on anything smaller, like if I were to color on paper this big, it'd be really difficult to fit in a lot of details. But if you draw on paper that's too big, you might be overwhelmed with how much you have to color and everything. So I think that 9x11 is a good size. I mean 9x12, anything around there. So like the average printer paper size is a good size to work with. Hi Cole, glad you like pandas. Sometimes I take a moment to scroll through the comments because I notice that like someone will be referring to something that I'm not aware of, because I know you guys like to have conversations in the comments, but sometimes I have to scroll back a little to get back into the loop. Samantha, thanks for the heads up. Sometimes I don't get notifications for my Instagram messages. It's kind of weird how the system works because I first have to accept the message and then it will give me notifications, but the initial message I get no notifications from. So I have to like specifically go check the pending page, but thank you for telling me that. I will definitely go check tonight. I think that my black pencil is about to join the short black pencil club. It's almost there. I still haven't bought one of those pencil extenders to test it out because I didn't feel comfortable spending like $12 on a pencil extender. I thought that was kind of expensive because for $12 I can purchase about 6 new black pencils, so that's just weird. But if I find one at a cheap price or on clearance, I'll definitely buy one, test it out, tell you guys how they work. I've seen them used before, so like I have an idea of what to expect, but I don't know how well it holds the pencil because like, I hope I can put down a lot of pressure and still color, but I'd imagine that you couldn't put down full pressure on it because it might fall out of the extender. Looks like my internet cut out for a second there, so if you guys experience buffering or freezing, don't worry, it was on my side and your phone is not going crazy. I always fear that I'm going to get a splinter from putting my finger on the wooden part. I haven't yet, but I have this discomfort whenever I have a short pencil and I put down a lot of pressure, I always feel that I'm going to get a splinter. This Panda like killed both my black and white pencil. It's okay though, I'll get more. I think that I'm going to take like a day break from Prismacolors because tomorrow I'm going to show you guys some techniques with Prismacolor pencils. Not Prismacolor, sorry, Crayola pencils. Not Prisma. I've always done Prismacolor, but I wanted to show you guys some techniques where you can get the most out of your Crayola pencils, even though they're not the best color pencils out there. You can still make things that look cool, and I'll show you a few little tips and tricks on how to color with them. So like, tell your kids, tell your friends, tell everyone to come watch. That'll be tomorrow's video, which will be at the same time, 9:30 p.m. Central. Michelle, that will be at 9:30 p.m. Central. So if you guys have Crayola pencils, or if your kids have Crayola pencils and you want to watch tomorrow's video, I suggest that you have your pencils ready, so in case you see a tip that you're really interested in learning, you can try it out on your own. Mostly I'm going to go over like blending techniques with them, so you don't really have to have a particular drawing ahead of time. But if you want some coloring pages to work with, go on Kids Activities blog, which I linked, and you can print some coloring pages that I made. Shayna, I did add white to the panda's face to cut down the green that was on there, but I didn't use the pencil. I used white acrylic paint. I put a little bit on there and I spread it out. That's why it may look kind of shiny right here, but if you look at the actual picture in real life, you'll see that you can't really notice that it was white paint at all. It just looks like it was pencil. But the paint looks shiny because the paint is a different texture than the pencils. That's one thing that's unfortunate about just doing these through a video camera, is that you can't really see the true product. You just see what the camera picks up of it. And depending on how the light reflects off of it, you'll see something different. For example, that one picture that I did, it was in June probably, but I painted the hair of this one girl, and I used this bronze metallic paint, but it looked blonde or gold on the camera, so it's just one of those small differences. And another camera difference that you'll see, I don't really see it too much with this Panda, but sometimes the grays that I use can look blue just because they're cool grays, and there's some differences between how the camera looks at the colors and how we actually perceive the colors. So that's another thing. I know that, I think it was on the corgi drawing, the corgi's face looked blue because of the cool grays, but oh well. Samantha, I'm putting the gray at the bottom because the panda, like half of its torso is black, half is white, so the gray is a transition into the white, especially near the black where darker colors are grouped together with lighter ones. Whenever the hair is like intertwined with each other, it looks somewhat gray, so that's why I'm using it. And besides, it's like kind of shadowed by its arm and everything else. So I never change pencil brand in the middle of a drawing because the only color pencils that I own in great quantities is Prismacolor and Crayola, but I rarely use the Crayola because I have Prismacolor, so it's just what I do. But tomorrow night I'm making a video where I use Crayolas just to show you guys some techniques on how to get the most out of them, because like Prismacolors are expensive, and especially like for people who don't have much experience with art and they haven't like been gifted art supplies and stuff, or they just can't afford it, it's very difficult to get your hands on nice art supplies. So it's good to make do with what you have, and I want to help you guys with that, so that's why I'm doing Crayola. Plus it will be really helpful for a lot of younger viewers who are children and all they have is Crayola because they cannot be trusted with an expensive set of colors. Like if you guys have like young children, like I'm talking really young children, do not buy them Prismacolors because like you don't want Prismacolor to just be used on scribble drawings. But whenever your children actually get into art and they love coloring and it's something that they want to get really good at, like buying a couple of Prismacolors here and there is something that can be really good. Samantha, tomorrow night I'm going to show you guys a couple of techniques with using Prismacolor, I keep saying Prismacolors, but I mean Crayola. I will be using Crayola pencils just to show you guys some techniques for getting the most out of your Crayola pencils. I'll draw a couple of things, like I'll shade in a face with them and maybe an eye and a couple of other things, but it's not going to be like a full detailed drawing like I typically do. Instead it will be shorter little snippets of different things that you can do with Crayola just to show you guys different techniques. So I may even like draw a little sphere and shade it in and show you how to layer different colors with Crayola and whatnot. So I think one of the most important things to understand with Crayola is that if you try to use them in the same manner as you would with Prismacolors, you won't get like the best result because they're just not meant to blend like Prismacolors are. But you can do other things with them to give a blending effect. It's not as good as Prismacolor, don't get me wrong, but still, you can do a lot of cool things with them. So I'll show you guys that. Right now I'm just adding smaller details to the panda. Some of these details I don't even know if you can see on camera because they're really small. Just little things like little gaps between the colors and things like that. Yeah, looking back on this panda, I really wish that I started to draw it a little bit more to the right, just because whenever I take it out of my sketchbook, this perforated edge right here, I don't know if you can see exactly where that is, but right here, it will have to separate, so I won't get the tip of the ear, unfortunately, but it still looks good. Okay, so it's 10:28, almost 10:30, and I have to get going. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate all your lovely comments and reactions that you give to this video. Tomorrow night I'll be using Crayola pencils, and I'll show you guys some cool techniques on how to get the most out of those Crayola pencils, because we know that a lot of people have them, and it's something that, like, I mean, a lot of people can't afford Prismacolors, and it's good to use your Crayolas with creativity and find a good use for them. So I'll be showing you guys that. I hope it will help you remember that's tomorrow night at 9:30 p.m. Central. So I will see you then, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram and download my coloring pages. The link to both of those things are in the video's description, so go check that out. Good night.